Welcome to the Unlock Wellness Podcast. I'm Dr. Casey, and today's guest is Jordan Ponder. Jordan is a captain with the Milwaukee Fire Department. He is a certified trainer and leads peer fitness training for the Milwaukee Fire Department as well. And along with all of that, he is also a professional bodybuilder for the World National Bodybuilding Federation. And with all of his certifications and experience, he's using that to change the health and lives as many firefighters as possible. So I'm excited to hear his story. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor. It's an absolute honor and a privilege. So I appreciate your time and your effort and your willingness to allow me to be a part of what you're doing.
Yeah, and if you just want to just jump in with your backstory, Jordan, and just talk about how you got more into the fitness world and what really led you to become a firefighter, and just, kind of start from the beginning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Speaking to, becoming a firefighter and what have you, we'll say, I guess, fitness in itself has always been something that I've enjoyed. It's something that was a passion of mine. Just as a child, I was always somebody who wanted to move, wanted to shake. I mean, I could think about playing video games with my brother and it be impossible for me to sit still, completely like outside my ability to sit still, where I would kick him in the head repeatedly because I would have to jump up every time that the character jumped. And somehow I felt that if I jumped higher, the character on the TV screen would jump higher too.
So you needed a Wii at that point, right?
Oh yeah. No question at all. I think if that happened, I would have broken every ounce of furniture in my house.
Right. Those are dangerous.
Right. And so being involved in fitness and things like that was, I guess, for me, moving around was just always fun. It was just always a blast, and something I just need to let out. And another funny story, I literally got tied down to my chair in first grade by my first grade teacher with a piece of yarn because I could not be still. And she just needed me to, she just stop, just be still. So I came home, I told my dad, he didn't tell my mom. And so thankfully nobody went to jail. And I think my mom would have gone to jail if she knew about it. But I always remember growing up too, my parents having bodybuilding magazines around the house. And just looking at it and just seeing, yes, there's muscles, yes, there's this, yes, there's that. But I always felt like I saw something more of an expression of focus and commitment and dedication and discipline and effort and so many things that I knew I wanted to be able to express as well. And something that manifested itself in a deeper way. So it was a means of showing all these intrinsic characteristics with an external, edification of that. Alongside that too, is I wanted to be a cop actually for a super long time when I was growing up. My dad was a cop for 26 years. And then I always told him I want to be a cop and follow in your footsteps and all those things. He never encouraged it. He never discouraged it not once. Mm-hmm. And then one day, my junior year of high school or my sophomore year in high school, I said, just talking at the table, I said, maybe I'll become a firefighter. And he stopped eating and he looked at me and I got a reaction from him. I was like, because it'll be great to support my community. And so he just had these eyes of can you keep going? But the next day he had all the information for me about how to get into the fire department, about their physical ability tests, all these things. And he told me, he said, Jordan, become a firefighter. Do not become a cop. You will hate being a cop. Just him knowing, because of my personality, not that being a police officer is bad by any means, right, but just him knowing me and my dynamic and who I am as a person, that being a firefighter is definitely more natural for me. So I guess I state those things too, because in some way it kind of encapsulates everything you've mentioned as well. And that moving and being active and being all those things too is a major part of myself. And alongside that too is that bodybuilding too has played a major role into be able to express, for myself, something much more than just going on stage and showing muscles and all those other silly things too. Mm-hmm. But at the same time as well as being a firefighter has been a great way to now kind of continue to put all those things together, that effort, that focus, that love and that appreciation for people in a way that has a true impact on the outside world.
Yeah, that's cool. And like you said that, you grew up with those magazines kind of around in your environment. Was that something that they were using to inspire themselves to be healthy, or what was their interest level into that?
So everyone's always said that my dad was a really big guy, and he was a big guy, and he worked out a lot. But it wasn't until about maybe I was a teenager or so that I realized and learned from him that he hated working out. He did it a lot because he was a cop and he wanted to be strong or
Right.
whatever, but he hated it. My mom was the one who was very much into bodybuilding. And she was one who had the magazines, and for her, she would go to bodybuilding shows and had a blast with it. But she always wanted to compete. But just a series of different events and what have you kind of changed things for her. But I can honestly say that while bodybuilding provides me a great means of expression and so many different things too, every time I compete, I do recognize that I give my mom an opportunity to do something that she was never able to do,
Hmm.
and she always remembers that too. And that's why I can be up on stage, and even at the ripe age of 33, I'll still hear someone scream, "That's my baby!" And that's my mom. That's my
That's
mom. So I'm
awesome.
always glad to have her there.
That's cool. I mean, that's cool. You got to, that was a positive influence on you physically, and it's probably good your dad didn't tell her about the teacher now that she's a bodybuilder. So
Yes,
that would have ended
I
pretty
think
badly, right?
I told my mom, I think like 4 or 5 years ago. She's like, "What? You never told me about that." I was like, "Well, I told Dad." She's like, "Why did he tell me about that?" I says, "Jordan, you have no idea what would happen if they knew me to tie down my baby to a chair. I don't know what I'd do."
That's
I was
hilarious.
like, yeah, so
That's funny. No, that's cool. And like you kind of touched on, I think the whole world of bodybuilding, it can get a pretty bad reputation, and but people don't see all of the hard work and dedication that you guys have to put in. And I like, I have friends that have done it. I know Mickey's competed a lot. We were talking about that beforehand, and I mean the work that and discipline that it takes to do that. I mean, it's a lot. It's really impressive.
yeah, it's great. And I think what gets missed a lot of times too is it's a tremendous community. Is that's really what makes it. It is a subculture. There's no question about it. And it has its uniqueness just as much as any other culture does too. And it has its quirks and it has its idiosyncrasies like any culture does also. But at the end of the day, there are people who get up on stage and show their muscles, and then there's bodybuilders. And the bodybuilders are the ones who know and they encourage each other. They care about each other and they understand that I'm not trying to beat you. I'm trying to beat me. My goal is my best to be at my best. And I want you to be at your best. And the rest is outside of my control. So the real bodybuilders who really are a part of the culture understand that it is not me trying to beat you. It's even bigger than my own ego. It's simply about work and work ethic, about commitment. It's about being focused, about achieving. It's very much a growth mindset. That's what bodybuilding creates. Bodybuilding creates a growth mindset that says, I'm not looking at where I am, I'm looking at to where I'm going. And I'm willing to put in the steps that are necessary in order to get there.
Right. No, that's awesome. And I love how you mentioned how you do have to have that work ethic and that focus because I mean, like you were saying, that correlates so well with the occupation that you decided to do being a firefighter. So you got the approval from dad. you went through all of the steps to get there. So what really led you to want to start leading a fitness movement within that system? I mean, were you kind of slacking yourself, or were you just looking around seeing all of these people like, we save lives for a living, we have to be at our best at all times?
What it was is, on the one side, I will say that my fitness journey, or whatever silly name I can give it,
Yeah.
has had very much ebbs and flows. But I will say that for me, I knew that as soon as I graduated the academy, the person who was in charge of our very, 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 very informal fitness program asked if I would help because he knew I had a background in lifting and bodybuilding and what have you. And he asked if I would assist.
Mm-hmm.
And so really I knew that. So I came on as a cadet, which means that right out of high school, I went into the fire service. I never had to work in a foundry. I never had to work in a factory. I didn't have to go to college. I didn't have to do a lot of things that people have to go through in life. I had my own unique struggles, no question about it, but I didn't have to necessarily have that ambiguity that I think people go through as they find security. I was given it. And so I always knew that deserved some appreciation. It deserved a means of like valuing it and recognizing that it's like, hey, I've been given this gift. I need to give back.
Right.
And I always knew that fitness was the way that I was able to give back. There's people who are amazing at logistics and they go to the union. There's people who are amazing at, being at small engines and they do stuff as a mechanic or as big engines, whatever else. They help other people with their, with the skill set that they have. And just so happens that my skill set is in fitness and generally just loving people and allowing that be expressed through fitness. And as a result, like I knew that was what I was going to do to give back to the fire service. From there, then also is that we didn't have a means. I volunteered like I think 12 to 15 hours a week every week for about 4 or 5 years. Just because they didn't have a means to pay me. And I told them, like, that's all right. Like this is how I'm going to give back until we were able to formalize a program, and really be able to do some things and be able to orchestrate that in a great way, but also in a way that helped to provide results. In fact, our program has helped to reduce firefighter injury claims by 57%. That's awesome. And has collectively helped to save the city of Milwaukee $1.3 million in injury-associated costs.
Wow.
So it's great to be able to see that, like, starting from not having a program at all, like something that doesn't exist at all, has developed and grown and matured to the place of gaining national recognition. And allowed me to do lots of things to assist other departments now in beginning health and wellness programs and providing them opportunities to establish the same results that Milwaukee Fire Department has had.
Yeah, I love that. And I love your reasoning for why you did it, because you just did it because you were trying to like operate at the highest level of gratitude possible, which is amazing. Yeah. So, like, what does a program look like? Like, are there certain days a week where you kind of set a time and people show up, or do you have, like, we're doing this on this day and we're doing this on this day, and then you sit down and go over nutrition? What's the whole layout for the different programs that you have?
Right. So for the departments that I work with, it's always kind of dependent upon what they're looking for and what they need. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, too, it's the goal is to meet them where they're at, wherever they're at, and assist them where they need to go. So with the Milwaukee Fire Department, what we do is we provide them a place to come and train to improve their health 5 days a week. We call them fit camps, which are firefighter interval training camps, essentially. And it's just a group fitness environment to kind of encourage people to learn how to move better, how to be better, and to kind of be connected to their health in a better way. At the same time, also, we have all uniformed equipment in all of the firehouses that we use. So if anytime they come to one of our fit camps, they get a program, they learn how to do certain things with the equipment that they have in their firehouse. They can take that back and teach each other alongside that too. And then we do classes, we provide one-on-one consultations, we do a lot of services to help the firefighters. And then independently as a Be Dynamic training, I again kind of make it more catered towards a department. Mm-hmm. But most oftentimes the key is with all of this is education. That's number one. It's not equipment, it's not expense, it's not throwing money at things, it's education. It's empowering people in a way that gives them benefits that stays with them. Right. Because if I go ahead and say, like, hey, let's throw a whole bunch of money at something and let's, give you all $30,000 gym is awesome. I wish every firehouse could have one. I wish they could. But what happens to $30,000 gym once the lights go off? It stays there. Right. But if we can provide education, means for them to learn exactly what they need to do and how they can do it in a way that's safer for them, not just as a firefighter, but as a father, as a mother, as a daughter, as a husband, as a wife, as somebody who's going to go grocery shopping, just to help them to recognize that there's principles in their fitness and principles in nutrition and training and everything else too, that's not just isolated to their profession, but is in fact involved in everyday life. Because the thing is too, that I always say this when I teach one of my first workshops, is that, your health does not define you, but your health is part of you everywhere you go. You mm-hmm. cannot escape your health. And it doesn't mean that, my health reflects who I am as a person. No, but it's just a major part of you, and it's going to influence everything that you do. So for that too, and to answer your question more specifically, like independently, what I do is I do quarterly trainings for the most part. So a department, I'll assist them in developing a program. We'll give them typically like weekly workouts or weekly training programs. I'll come in, I'll do a quarterly training, and within that quarterly training, I'll kind of set up what's going to happen for the next several weeks, and then kind of refresh things as we go through. But the biggest thing too is having that engagement with them where they know that it's not a cookie cutter garbage program. It's something that is about them. Because if I'm saying that this whole thing comes off of love and appreciation for people and it being expressed through fitness, how terrible of me would it be to just give everybody the exact same thing?
Right.
So what it is too is basically able to assist, Sheboygan Fire Department, Kenosha Fire Department, the Cedarburg Fire Department, the Sussex Fire Department, and all these other fire departments I'm working with what they want, and help them basically find out where it is they're at, where is it they want to go, and my role is to assist them in giving them things to get there, steps to get there. And I equate it to like a ladder. They say, this is where we're at, we want to get up there. And then my job is to be a ladder for them, support what their efforts, and give them incremental steps that they can achieve to get there. And that comes through, again, education above all else, and then giving them accessible, available resources to apply what they've learned. And that does come through nutrition talking. It does come through a lot of things. But one thing that's been most evident to me is that your health is always part of you, but we fail to recognize it so often.
Right.
And so it's providing people a non-judgmental, objective look at their health that continues on as simple reminders. So it might even just be something as simple as, like just notes on the fridge. Like, I call it the Firehouse Fit Fridge, which is basically, it's just like, what are your members interested in? What are the questions you have about nutrition? And they give them a very accessible, easy means to learn about that takes about the same time you grab the milk. So you grab the milk, you don't grab the Kool-Aid that's in the fridge.
Just one decision at a time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Small incremental steps produce dramatic results.
Right. And the education portion is so crucial. And I totally agree with you that that's the most important thing. I mean, what they're learning from you, it's going to trickle down into everybody around them, their kids, and like what they teach their kids. Like, it's just, it's really cool. And is there somebody that like you're thinking of that has maybe had amazing results that like just makes you super proud whenever you see their story?
Absolutely. There's a couple people who come to mind. One that comes to mind that I'll say is his name is Corey. And I taught. So I do a lot of like I do paid stuff, of course. That's how you have a sustainable passion. But I do a lot of free stuff too. So for different like organizations, what have you. And there's an organization here I'll call the Brew City Fools. I was like, hey, can you come and speak for us? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go do this. So went up there and chatted with them. And basically I just shared the B Dynamic training system. And what that is it's basically it comes down to, just the principles of being healthy. And one, we need to be dynamic, which relates to your fitness. And that's a whole continuum as relates to how to move better and what have you. But also to be nutritious, we need to be restored. We also need to be successful. And those are the four things that I really focus on in helping people understand their health, meaning that it is fitness, it is nutrition, but it's also rest and recovery. But then lastly, also it's small, simple, successful strategies. Too often people think that in order to improve their fitness, it has to be these crazy, dramatic, wild things.
Right.
But if you just kind of show them, like, let's just make it simple. And one of the things too that I had mentioned was I talk about for when it comes to be successful is you need to have the desire, you need to identify your desire, identify if you have the ability, identify what your reason is for achieving these things, and you need to recognize your need. And from there, you take that and you implement it tenaciously. So it's like when you decide that when you recognize that your health and your wellness is important, you just got to say, darn it. You got to find your decision, your ability, your reason, your need. When you have that, you have to implement it tenaciously. Mm-hmm. And for him, he really identified with that. His family is a huge thing for him. He began to see that, like, you know what? Like, I'm not just doing this for me. I'm doing this for my family. And I'm doing this for my family in a way that's going to help address them and help improve them. And a big thing I'm trying to, I won't say trying to, but I'm just continuing to find is it needs to be echoed in the fitness community too, is an emphasis on just being a kid. And just being a kid and just playing, being that first grader who can't sit still in his chair, being that guy.
Right.
Because our default state is inactivity. That's just what we do. Yeah. You go to the DMV and you find that for crying out loud, you become institutionalized. And then we wonder why there's an obesity epidemic.
Yeah.
Because we've been told that you need to sit down or I'll tie you to a chair. And then you can't sit down and I tie you to a chair. So of course people then have this disassociation with being active. Or if you're a firefighter, you went through the academy and guess what? If you did something wrong, guess what you had to do? Physical activity. So no wonder we developed this stigma around fitness and health. No wonder we want to be inactive. And so be able to break through these things, and for him, be able to kind of identify with the things that I'm talking about in a way that said, hey, you know what? I can do this and I'm going to do this. And for him, he said the best thing he started doing is he just started putting 10 minutes on the clock at his house when he came home, and he chased his kids around the house for 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
That was his beginning. That's what we said, okay, if your family is your reasoning, you're not doing anything that's physical, this is your program. Here's your workout program. Put 10 minutes on the clock on your stove and go chase your kids till you can't breathe. If you can't talk, till you can't talk. And then when you can talk, take a quick break and then go after them again. He's like, Jordan, I'm better with my family. He's like, it's improved how I think, how I feel, how I am with them. I don't see them as a chore. I'm learning to play again. He's like, yeah, man. And from there, it's just become incremental to the point where 8 months later, he's 70 pounds lighter than he was. And he was 330 pounds, but now he's at 80 pounds now. And this is a guy who has allowed me the privilege to be a ladder for him, to support him. You know, I'm not going to bark at him that you need to do this, you need to do that. No, my role is to simply be there. A ladder is just there. And a ladder is just there to give you an opportunity to get to the next step. And this is a guy who has taken it. And I think the biggest thing, and other ones, vague ones that come to mind as well, is they're the ones who contact me afterwards and they say they have these epiphanies. They have these epiphanies and they recognize really all the mess that we've been fed about health and fitness and how it means, how it's just all these things that have been kind of misconceptions, misunderstandings, and misinterpretations. And not that they're malicious, but they're just inherent. And it's just, if we can break through that, we can connect with people again, and more so we can connect with ourselves.
Right. And just getting it out of that negative light, because it's almost like, any TV show you watch, it's, people don't want to exercise and eating healthy is gross, right? It's programmed at an early age, really. And so it just starts with that education, and then just, feeding that education to younger people. And that's really cool. And I love that story about the guy that you were just talking about, because, you really addressed a few needs. He said that he felt like his kids were a chore and he needed to get back in shape. So why not combine the two and then make it more enjoyable? So that's really amazing.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He's a great guy, and I couldn't be more proud of him. And I always tell him, I was like, hey, I'll support you as you need, and I'll echo your effort.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. So with all of your efforts, and you're reaching out to all of these different all of these locations in your area, what's the future look like? Are you trying to expand more in Milwaukee, or are you trying to, focus and reach out to different states and have different local chapters? Do you kind of see a future for where it's heading?
Yeah. It's interesting. It is very interesting. Like I said before, myself, I'm a person who tends to gravitate towards security, and the fire service has provided me that too. What's been beautiful and interesting too is this whole entire, this passion project has really matured into a lot of unknowns in a great and beautiful and powerful way. And for that, things begin to happen very naturally. And I tend to find that, respectfully and humbly, I'm being reached out towards more than myself having to reach out to people. And it's writing for fire rescue. It's writing for fire engineering. It's doing videos for Penwell. It's writing for Paul Conway Shields. It's being at this conference and speaking there, and someone's saying hey, you should go to this conference. And you just go, okay, I'll go there. And I'll teach because it's fun. Right. And then you teach, and then, 3 different people, or you have, 50 people in the class or whatever, and then 5 of them are from different departments throughout the state, throughout the country. And then you just see what happens. And sometimes they want an entire program. They want a year-long syllabus. Awesome. And sometimes they just want to talk. Awesome. You just be there for them. You know what I mean? But I think as far as the future, how it holds is, the future is fun. I don't know. I hate to be bleak, but I don't know. I think what it is right now. My objective is always to do the best with wherever I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, I think that's
I don't know
good.
if
I
that's
think
good or
it's good
bad.
just to work as hard as you can at what you're doing, and then the opportunities come if you have the right mindset and your heart's in the right place and you're working extremely hard. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and Doctor, I'll say this to you also. I mean, like that's where I appreciate this. Like, Doctor, like I appreciate you. Like I appreciate what you're doing as well. Like I recognize and some of my very remedial or elementary level understanding of what you do is it's providing a service to a lot of people. You're providing a voice for people to also share their passion for fitness and wellness in a way that they might not be able to otherwise. And that's outstanding.
No, I
And you're
appreciate
reaching
that.
you're reaching an audience too that is in an accessible way, and through your iTunes and your podcast and all those things too. And so good for you. And I guess within that too is, I mean, thank you for the opportunity. And that's where I say that in the beginning. It means a lot to me because you're right. Opportunities come, and for you to be kind enough to adhere to Mickey and reach out to me is very meaningful to me because I will most definitely reach out every time.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. No, and I really do appreciate the kind words, and I'm just excited for what you're doing because anytime that somebody's really putting their heart into making a difference and making people healthier, especially for their communities, I love everything about that. So I definitely appreciate what you do as well. And so Jordan, if people want to reach you and get some of these programs in their departments, or if they just want to follow you on social media and keep up with all of your content, because you put out a lot of content out there, which is amazing, what would be the best way for people to follow you and to reach out to you?
Yeah, they can email me at jponder@fd-pt.com. Within that too is, this is, I know we're talking firefighter, but I want to stress too that what I continue to find when you talk about the future, here we go. When you talk about the future too, what I'm finding is that this is not about firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
This is just about people. This is just about the fact that we need to go back to being that kid again. If you go back to being like being physical and being and laughing and being active is just in your nature. It's just part of who we are.
Right.
But someone lost it. We gave it up. We handed it over.
Yep.
And what I find in the future is that more and more people are reaching out to me who are not firefighters. They're saying, like, I get what you're saying, because my whole continuum is we need to be mobile, get your joints to move the way they need to move, minimize compensations for quality movement, get you to be stable, okay, in a way that allows you to resist movement, to be strong enough to move in ways that you want to move. From there, we need to be the movement, which is learning how to move, multiple planes of motion with irregular implements, using like the sandbags, resistance bands, a number of different things too,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that helps you recognize how you're moving all the time. I don't teach exercise. I teach movement. From there, exercise is just a complement.
Right. Yeah, no, it's awesome because you can, I mean, people can do that at any level and with minimal equipment, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. It's education over equipment all day long.
Yeah.
And so we learn to be the movement too. We recognize now that, like, when I tie my shoes, I am using my body.
Right.
What am I doing? Becomes this awareness. But then ultimately the goal is to be dynamic, which is where this is be dynamic training. And to be dynamic means basically it does come down to being a kid. And I'd love to share with you some simple videos and be dynamic drills that I use also. And every single one that's been done, people are laughing. Every single one that's done,
That's awesome.
People are some way and involved in teamwork. There's a sense of spontaneity. There's a bit of unpredictability. And within that, you get that play environment again. You get these type A personalities, okay, or just the average general population,
Mm-hmm.
to learn to just reconnect with that kid that's in there, that's been like quieted down, that was, is inactive. We awaken that again. We see that, like, what? This is just fun, and it breaks that mold. So to answer your question more specifically, one, what the future holds is going beyond firefighters, going into general population, because it's a message that is consistent with just people. It's just people. From there, then also people are interested in contacting me. Again, that email address is jponder@fd-pt.com. And then I'm on Facebook as Jordan Ponder. You'll see a goofy smile and and a firefighter helmet on my head, and that's me, and that's me cheesing it up. And then there's some Instagram is jordan.ponder, and those are probably the best means to reach me. But I do have the website, bdynamictraining.com, as well as fd-pt.com. So, but yeah, those are ways to contact me. And for you, for anybody else, whatever it means, my goal is to support, to be that ladder. Wherever it is you're at is where you're at, and assist you where you want to go, give you incremental steps to get there, and just be able to reach right back to you as you reach out.
That's awesome. I love it, Jordan. And just one closing question that I ask every guest. If you could just give one piece of advice to the audience, maybe it's something that helped you along your journey or just your life in general. But if you only had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
Love your family and love yourself.
Love it. Easy enough, right?
Does that work?
No, that works. That works. That's amazing.
Good. I'm glad, because it's meaningful. It's meaningful to me. It's meaningful to my family. It's meaningful in our motivations, and it's meaningful in our health.
Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, it all intertwines together for sure. That's awesome. But Jordan, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate having you, and I'm excited for people to dive into your content and just learn more.
Absolutely, my pleasure, Doctor, and I appreciate you so much. Be great.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Jordan. He's an amazing guy. He's doing such incredible work. So, guys, go follow him on social media. I promise that you will learn a lot and see all of the great work that he's doing. All of those links that we talked about that you can reach him, you can find in the show notes. But if you go to drkaseyjohnson.com, that's DRKASEY Johnson.com, and click on the Listen tab, you can actually go through and look at each guest that has ever come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, as well as a full description of who they are, what they're all about, and also each one will have all of their social media links, website links, any type of link that they talked about. So if you go to my site and click on the Listen tab, you'll be able to see more information about Jordan and also be able to go through and see all of his social media links and websites. So be sure to check it out. If you enjoyed today's episode with Jordan, please jump on iTunes, write us a review, and subscribe. It really helps out a lot. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for the support.